Hi there, welcome to my podcast Songs of Soma. This is the first episode of the first season, and in this episode, I am going to tell you why the life you are living right now is neither your first nor your last. But before I begin, I would like to tell you that this episode is going to be the foundation of a series where I discuss an understanding of our reality, where the idea of reincarnation takes a central role. That is why I have decided to begin with this introductory episode on the idea of reincarnation. If you like such contents, I ask you to stick around. Okay then, let's begin. What happens after we die? This has perhaps been the most intriguing question that has stirred the human mind. Almost all cultures around the world have come up with their own answers to this question. And it is also very likely that every individual holds their own belief. Whether it is heaven and hell from the Abrahamic tradition, Elysium, Asphodel, Tartarus and other realms of Greeks, Valhalla and similar realms of the Nords, people and cultures have tried their best to make sense of our posthumous condition. Among these rationalizations, there is also the idea of rebirth and reincarnation, mostly prominent in the Eastern traditions like Hinduism and Buddhism. However, with the rise of science as the metric of rationale, the answers provided by faith have taken a back seat. Then, could there be a form of afterlife that fits within the picture of our reality presented by science, or does it only support the idea that nothing at all is waiting for us on the other side? Well, it is my personal belief that the concept of rebirth or reincarnation is the one that fits with the contemporary picture of our reality as presented by science. Let me present my argument for it. So, how does reincarnation fit within the framework of our contemporary scientific reality? Because of the idea known as the multiverse. The theory of multiverse suggests that there are potentially infinite number of universes in our cosmos. To further elaborate, the theories of multiverse came along with quantum mechanics, especially as an answer to the question of the resolution of quantum superposition. Basically speaking, the quantum interactions are governed by probability, and thus the subatomic particles, that make up the foundations of our universe, can exist in many states at once. But when an interaction or a quantum event occurs, each probability is presumed to split into its own universe. Since every event or interaction is ultimately a quantum interaction, the splitting of universes happens for all probable outcomes of every event at all scales. Therefore, the multiverse theory states that there are infinite versions of our universe in this cosmos, and thus all the possible events occur an infinite amount of time. And if every possibility exists, then there must be a version of universe where we are reborn after we die in one. This may sound wonky at first, but if multiverse exists, this idea makes sense and you give it a little bit of thought. Think about this for a moment. What is it that makes you, or all of us, us? Aren't we constantly changing? Here is a thought experiment. Go ahead and take a breath. When you did, you took one more breath than you had in your entire life. The same applies to everything that happens to us. If a ray of light hits our skin, one more did so than in our entire life before that moment. When we think, we had one more thought than in our entire life. We are constantly shedding our past selves. The cumulative us is constantly changing both physically and psychologically. If we are living through continuum of changes, why can't it happen after our death? On top of that, going with the scientific or the objective view on what is it that makes us, which is a combined pattern of matter particles like atoms that form our bodily structures to ultimately become us, there arises no need for supernatural entity such as soul to exist for us to reincarnate. I want to note that, I am not arguing that a soul does not exist, but I am simply saying that it is not an absolute necessity for rebirth of a conscious entity in the multiverse. If we solely arise from matter, then all that is required is a universe with similar laws to ours, one where similar matter forms create life. which is a certainty if all possibilities exist in their own universe, so it means that our rebirth is certain too. To restate, as we can be sure that we are made up of matter at least, these matter particles like atoms form a pattern to create more and more complex structures like molecules, cells, tissues, and finally us. Despite the complexity, it is still a pattern of matter particles, so in a multiverse this pattern that makes an individual in one universe can easily reform itself in another universe. Which means that, we are very likely to be born into an alternate universe after we die in one, and have probably been through that cycle trillions and trillions of times. But what if the multiverse does not exist? That could be possible too, as we do not have any direct evidences proving the existence of other universes than ours. And the simple fact that we need to get out of our own universe to find the evidence for the multiverse, which might probably never be possible, has led many scientists themselves to consider multiverse a philosophical idea, albeit one that has its foundations in math and physics. And some more even consider it to be a religion. However, we are not doing physics or math, we are doing philosophy with an attempt to bring rationale from science. So, multiverse is a topic of interest because it is mathematically derived. And I personally believe that our universe is not the only universe out there. Furthermore, there are other theoretical models, like conformal cyclic cosmology by Roger Penrose, suggesting that the end of one universe breeds another. Hence, the likelihood of our universe being the only one is not unanimously supported by physics either. There likely are a lot, if not an infinite number of universes out there, even if they come one after another in a linear pattern. Even in such a linear model of many universes, if we are solely made out of matter, the pattern of matter that made us can reconstitute itself without outside interventions. It might take a trillion iterations of universes, but it could and probably would eventually happen, because in an indefinite cycle even a 1 in a trillion chance event also occurs indefinitely. All of this, and we are not even considering the fact that if we presume space and time to be infinite planes, then we could come across infinite versions of ourselves even in our own universe, but they are versions of us, they are repetitions, not reincarnations. Then again, how about reincarnation in the same universe and the same planet? It may be possible, but very, very unlikely. Imagine a drop of rain falling on a spot in the ground, then imagine all the molecules evaporating, then condensing and falling on that exact spot, exactly all the molecules of the first drop, not one more or one less. How likely is that event to occur? It might be possible, but not very likely. I believe it is the same with the idea of our rebirth in the same planet in the same universe as that of our previous life. It may be possible, but very unlikely. In summary, if the laws of nature permit for all possible events to play out in a multiverse, the rebirth of an entity like a human being happens an infinite number of times, even if we keep the idea like a soul out of the picture. If the multiverse exists, we might get crazy outcomes like a Minecraft universe or an anime universe, which would make nerds and weebs listening very happy. In a cosmos full of infinite universes, weird concepts that are beyond our imagination may occur very frequently. So, to think an idea like rebirth, one we can wrap our head around, could very much be a norm is not that surprising for me personally. However, the idea of a multiverse opens the door for a lot of existential questions about the nature of reality and our role or part in it. Like, the absence of any memories from our past life, the role of our own consciousness in our reincarnation, fate and free will, God, as well as all other factors of life and death. I wish to provide answers to some of these questions based on my philosophical understanding of the nature of reality, in the upcoming episodes. So, if topics like these arouse your interest, please hit the like button and subscribe, as this is only the first episode in a series and a lot more is yet to come. And, in the next one we are going to talk about the memories of our past lives. Finally, thank you very much for tuning in. See you in the next episode.